Welcome to the Caregiver Relief Podcast, where we bring real conversations, expert insights, and inspiring stories from those helping caregivers and their loved ones thrive. I'm your host, Diane Carbo, an RN, and today's episode, Beyond High C, Redefining Recovery for Aphasia, Stroke, and Parkinson Survivors. Recovering communication and confidence after a stroke, brain injury, or diagnosis like Parkinson's disease can be a continued lifelong journey, one that takes creativity, patience, and community support. Today, we're diving into how music and structured speech practice can make that journey not only effective, but joyful. My guest, Kiersten Kanaster, is the founder of Beyond High C, a nationwide program offering personalized live conversation practice for stroke survivors, brain injury survivors, and people with aphasia, Parkinson's, and other neurological conditions. With a master's degree in voice pedagogy from Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey, Kiersten brings a remarkable blend of science, artistry, and compassion to her work. Drawing on her experience as a singing teacher, music educator, kindergarten teacher, and professional music theater actor, she has created engaging, affirming, and progress-driven sessions that help participants stay motivated and connected. This episode is sponsored by myvitalvault.net, your all-in-one life organizer for aging adults and caregivers. It's designed to help you securely store your essential legal, medical, and emergency information in one easy-to-access place. Because when a crisis hits, being prepared can make all the difference. Join our Caregiver Relief community, a warm, welcoming space where you can connect with other caregivers, ask questions, share stories, and find support from people who truly understand. Visit community.caregiverrelief.com to join now, because caregiving is one of the hardest and most meaningful things you'll ever do, and no one should have to do it alone. And if this episode speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Every click helps us reach more caregivers who need encouragement, resources, and hope. Kiersten, thank you so much for spending some time with us today to introduce this really unique way of approaching speech therapy for those suffering from aphasia.
Thank you so much for having me with you. I'm very excited to talk with you and to share with you what it is we do.
I'm looking forward to it. Before we dive in, though, can you share a bit about your musical background and what drew you to voice and performance in the first place?
Yes, I can. I have a master's degree. I studied classical singing in graduate school, and I went to a school where there were only singers and people who were learning to conduct choirs and people who were accompanying singers, either on the organ or the piano. And a lot of people went on to become church musicians and classical musicians, and some speech therapists came from there too, because of the voice pedagogy, voice science track. So I fell in love with singing and theater and performing arts when I was really small. I was raised by my grandmother, and she and her friends would take a tour bus and go into downtown Los Angeles to see the touring companies of Broadway shows. And so she would bring me, and I would be one of just a few little kids on the bus, and I would sit on her lap because I could not see in my own seat. And every piece of it, she told me, I don't even remember some of this. She said I was glued from the moment the orchestra began warming up. And when I came home, I could sing all the songs. From that point, I really fell in love with singing and theater, and that is what initially drew me to it. And it really got me through challenging times in childhood, singing and performing in
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you created Beyond High C, and I'd like you to share your story about how you started it and what inspired this incredible program.
Good. I'm excited to tell you. So I was teaching singing lessons, and a gentleman came to me for singing lessons, and I didn't realize that he had a brain injury. He and his wife, they didn't tell me. We had our first lesson, and he couldn't follow anything I was asking him to do. And I was worried and stressed, and I wasn't serving him, and I couldn't figure out. Once I finally understood what was happening, and they explained that he had a brain injury, and he was so passionate about wanting to sing, feeling the need. He just felt drawn to expressing himself in that way after the injury. But it really inspired me to think, what could I do to adjust what I would normally do with a singing student to accommodate him and help him follow me and gain the things from our working together that would serve him and serve his goals. And it became such an interesting puzzle. I loved it. And I loved watching the impact it had on him. And he was so pleased. And we were working together in person. And I moved cross country from California all the way to Virginia. So our time was over. And I get a call about a month later from his wife saying, this is not working. We're trying other teachers. He's very upset. They want him to do things he can't do. He's agitated. And we have to get on Skype. At that time, it was Skype that people were trying to meet on. And I told her, I don't think that's going to work, but I'll try it. And I was shocked to see it did work. So we continued on Skype, and I realized, gosh, if this works on Skype, and I love this and serve him so well, maybe there's room for others. So I went to every support group, brain injury support group in the state of Virginia with my new home, 13 of them. I brought drums and I brought my speakers, and we did music, and I asked them all, what do you need? What would help you to recover better? How could what we're doing help you? And they listened to survivors and their families, the people running the support groups. And that's what prompted me to create Beyond High C as a collection of personalized live group practices. Because number one, they wanted to be together. They wanted to be with others who were facing the same challenges they face.
Yes.
And they wanted to get better. And through practice is an amazing way to do that.
Can you explain how singing helps people with aphasia, Parkinson's, or stroke recover their communication abilities? Can you explain the process in the brain? You may not be able to speak, but you can sing.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon that a lot of people had pointed out. A lot of people have noticed that, gosh, my loved one is having trouble saying anything or saying many things, but if there's a song that they knew from before, they can sing all the lyrics.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a clinician, but I have read and I've spoken with a lot. I get a chance to speak with a lot of speech therapists and people who work in physical medicine and rehabilitation. And I know that there's another part of the brain that is processing the element that has to do with the music and the singing. And so oftentimes, and they'll do that in speech therapy, music therapy, they will use melody and rhythm to help elicit speech by almost circumventing, going around and pulling on that other side, that other processing that's where the music would come into play, engaging that. And so I've taken that simple idea, rhythm. Oh my goodness. They'll do it in melodic intonation therapy where they're tapping syllables with their left hand, trying to get the words to come out. And there's a rhythm to everything. There's a rhythm to every word that's said, every idea that flows out. And if they can key into that rhythm, I noticed that it ends up acting a lot like a framework, like a skeleton by which they can drop their words and their ideas on this framework that the rhythm sets up for them.
Give me an example of a specific technique or an exercise that you use to bridge the music and therapy.
In my classes where people are saying few words, we'll begin class by tapping out hello. Sometimes they can't say hello. Sometimes we're just saying yeah or something. We'll feel the rhythm. I'll ask them to move their hand across their body, across the line. Won't get into that in depth right this minute, but you can go, or tapping their chest just to feel the rhythm, or tapping their leg. And we'll just get into a loop where we'll say hello to everybody who's in class, and we'll do it. So we'll say, hello, Diane. Hello, Diane. Then we might go to the next person. Maybe it's Judy. Hello, Judy. Hello, Judy. And we get a rhythm going. We don't break it. We don't stop it. People can feel it. They're hearing it. They're tuning into what's happening, and they get out the words they can in rhythm as they're feeling it physically with their body. And we can do that for everything. Somebody has a long word they're trying to say, we'll do the same thing. We'll tap it out. We just were talking about the word in a more advanced class, destination. So I'd have everybody in a rhythm, a quick loop, destination. Everybody, destination, destination. Sometimes I'll have them put up their fingers. I'll put up my fingers so they can see the syllables going by in rhythm. And that really helps the words flow out. It's shocking how well it works. And it's backed by science. There've been a lot of studies done to justify that.
The power of music is astonishing. I have worked in dementia care units where we had people that are in the later stages of dementia, and they are withdrawn, non-responsive. And there are times when we've had the family or had someone come in to play the music that they like. I have actually seen people that have been non-responsive or reactive for a year or longer, all of a sudden start singing those words. So the power of music is amazing, and people don't understand it. And that's why I love your approach to this, because number one, it's fun. And it's such a positive thing. And you do it in such a non-threatening way. And I love that, because so many people with aphasia that I have met are very self-conscious about how they interact, and they seem to want to be withdrawn. And you bring them out of their shell and give them the ability to make connections, the human connection between others in their environment. And I think that's awesome.
Thank you so much. That is my number one goal. We're in the business of equipping people with confidence. Just like you said, it's just so easy it's terrifying. I can't imagine how scary it must be. Try to communicate. You're not sure what will come out, how it will sound. But I have learned over the years, there are patterns, and there is a way to help people practice in a way that gives them some reliance on their own ability to manage that, even if it goes wrong. And that really builds, to watch confidence build and people speak out that were silent it really is what gets me up in the morning. It's very gratifying.
Can you describe what a typical Beyond High C session looks like and feels like for the participants?
Yes. So like you said, that is my goals, for it to be upbeat, positive, personalized, but non-threatening.
Yeah.
So I tell them too, which is a tall order. When I have somebody new that comes onto my team and I'm explaining, this is how we do, this is what we do, it's a tall order. I tell them, my goal is to help you feel comfortable making mistakes, trying your words, get you in a comfortable place, and then once you are, walk you just to the edge of that comfort where you can take risks, knowing that we're a warm place who cares. We can encourage and guide you. And so a typical class Beyond High C conversation classes, an hour long. And it starts, bless you, it starts with welcoming people in. Now, excitingly, this has taken some time to develop, but at the beginning of a lot of classes, I'm giving a quick fire reminder to some people of things that they may have said or tried to say last time in last class. They may get a tiny little mini assignment to practice, come back and hit it again at the top of class. I can't tell you the difference that makes for skill improvement. It's really wonderful. And they like to do that. They like a little trivia. Remember, what did we say he dressed as when he was 6 years old for Halloween? They're so excited to announce it was pepperoni pizza or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. And that does a couple of things that it just targets so many wonderful things, and it makes everybody feel seen and heard. That we're not just talking about random things, but we're talking about people's experiences in life and the things they've gone through and their opinions, keeping it all positive. So after we do that, we'll do a quick little warm up, which is rhythmic, may involve relaxing shoulders or their head or breathing in to release tension so they could get their words to flow. Oftentimes too, I'll bring in a little warm up that involves music. So we're going to be moving, doing certain simple choreography. We'll do it on our own, feeling the rhythm, and then we'll put it with music so they can tune in to the external beats and line up their choreography and maybe some words with that. We have a song. And so, like you said, these songs from before, people might have known these songs from before. I'm mindful of what I choose. This week, we're actually doing the song they used for the theme song to the Golden Girls.
Oh, yes. Thank you for being. I really know what it is.
You know it. That's right. And so
honey, I'm a golden girl.
There you go. And so that gets them excited. They're remembering that, that show. You saw that show. I saw that show. And it sparks a lot of good things. So we'll engage with the song. I put the lyrics on the screen. We'll try to sing along. They can hum along, or I just tell them if you can't get all the words, you can't get any of the words, just la la la. That still has really good benefit, especially if they're moving their hand or tapping to the beat. Then we take a little break and we have conversation. Depending on the level, all different levels of class, from beginners who could say few words, people who can say phrases and words, and I have very advanced classes that can really articulate a story well, and maybe they're trying to bring their ideas up faster. Maybe they're trying to articulate more clearly as they speak faster. So we have a conversation that's very personalized. And I was telling you before we got started, I've got a discussion prompt every week, because we have to have a starting point. We don't have to discuss it, but I'm very mindful of what I have. I make it positive, something they can relate their personal experience to. And it usually brings out some really funny stories.
Yeah. I imagine your kindergarten teacher role comes out in because you're trying to make everybody happy and inclusive. Yeah. When I first reached out to you, I was looking for a solution. We have a public health crisis in the country. We have more seniors than youth. And Medicare reimbursement, it has now so low that people with Medicare Advantage are being discharged so early to home. And those with traditional Medicare are also being sent home. They're able to stay a little longer, but the therapies aren't provided. And most people don't understand. If you've had a stroke or a brain injury or a neurological condition, you have absolutely a lifelong, you have to work at your speech or whatever your physical abilities. If you want to maintain them, you have to work at it to keep them at a base level, or you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I was looking for a solution to provide to my listeners that are struggling with being discharged so early. Home care only has also been cut. So people are not getting the care that they need. And then they sit there and they're frustrated because they aren't improving. And I heard about Beyond High C, and I thought, boy, and you really do help fill the gap because you do so much. I know you work closely with speech and language pathologists and clinicians. How has their input shaped your program?
Good question. Good question. And before I answer that, I just want to say I so appreciate you noticing that's the goal. And I just from talking to families, I have the same understanding that you have that
Yeah.
there is a huge gap there. That
Oh,
people are being sent home to
yep.
sit quietly on the couch,
Yes.
and progress gets stunted, and
Yes.
it's a very frustrating thing. And so that is where I intend for Beyond High C to fit. We should be what follows speech therapy as an ongoing support and guiding place to come. And your question was, how has the input of speech language pathologists impacted what we do? It's been very exciting to have them, they'll come and sit in, language pathologists may come and sit in on class. They've made observations. And the most powerful thing that's helped me, especially early on, they would say, after to me, they would say, I saw you do this or that. And for example, with people who were working and focused on brain injury survivors, they would say, I notice you're giving them an instruction, and then you're asking them to watch the lyrics going by. Then they have to follow your directions, follow you, watch the words, and do what you're asking with your hand. And that is so good for executive functioning, for example. So what they're able to do is bring together the elements they're watching happen and then say, this is what's in my training and my education that I can see because of my filter, why what you're doing is working for them. And I don't have that background. So they're really filling in that missing component.
As an old rehab nurse, I just love this. I do. And I really applaud you for providing a solution at a time when we are desperately needing it. With the silver tsunami, we have more seniors than ever before, and the family caregiver has the responsibility placed on them to provide services and treatments once provided by healthcare providers. And your solution to speech is not only amazing, but we are moving to a cost sharing plan in our health system as well. So people are more personally responsible financially for receiving the needed treatments and therapies and services than ever before, because that's the way things have been set up through our present terribly broken healthcare system. People are shocked when they hear that they are being charged $200 to $400 or $500 a day to be in a rehab or skilled care under Medicare Advantage. And so they go home way too soon, and they sit there. And like you said, they become socially isolated. They become increasingly frustrated. There's behavior problems that occur because people can't communicate well. And I just found your Beyond High C, and I thought, I have to share this with my listeners, because our seniors and their family caregivers need to know that there are alternatives out there that will help them improve, and they're easily affordable for most people. Can you give me talk about a few changes or breakthroughs you have seen among your participants?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I can. And that's when people are coming to inquire about Beyond High C and they find out what the cost is, a lot of times they are relieved.
Yes.
That the model here is that this should be scalable. There should be tens of thousands of people in classes, and so I keep the cost quite minimal. I try very hard. Oh my gosh, the changes actually are the reason why I have so many levels of class, because people would progress from one level to the next level, and I would have to go create a more advanced class to serve them, or they would just, so it's been a really wonderful thing. I just had to do it not long ago at all, the most advanced class. So breakthroughs. I've seen breakthroughs, believe it or not. There's a gentleman who is in my few words class. When he got to class, to answer, to say hello, or to say yes or no, not only was he was making sounds, but you couldn't understand what it was. It wasn't even the right number of syllables. So even just to say the word no, which just has one syllable, it would be, no, I mean, it would just go on.
You would perseverate. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. See, thanks for the medical training over there. Education.
I'm more than just a pretty face, Kid.
I bet you are.
I know things.
Oh, you're funny. That's good. So what we would do with all this rhythm, so we'd ask questions. I was telling you our topics this week in class is we were talking about, do you prefer to be on time or early, or do you run a few minutes late, and why? So I would ask him, do you like to be on time? And if he were to say, I would say, I think you're saying no. I got that. And we got him to a place where he could put his thumb up or his thumb down, which he was not doing. He was not doing in a routine before. It's become a very clear routine, and nodding his head. That wasn't happening before either. So now he can give us. So if he says no, we know clearly. And then as a whole team, and the class loves this. Who doesn't love audience participation?
Right.
We do a tremendous amount of that. Is not a lot of sitting around listening to everybody. So we're all saying, everybody say with him, no. Do that again. No. So that
as you're putting the thumbs down.
with his thumbs down. And what it is getting him, he's hearing, oh, that's just got one beat. No. So he's really, it's going into his mind, into his body. And now I'm very proud to say just this week, it's been happening for a few weeks now. When I ask him, he can say no. Instead of that's just
for people. I have cared for brain injured stroke victims almost my whole life. I've been a nurse for 54 years. And I have to tell you that I know that little word no is so, we take it for granted, but you have just given that gentleman the ability to say something and give his opinion, even if it's just an emphatic no. And I love that because what you are doing is emphasizing connection. People are seeing and supporting one another online. That's a really important social element that has elevated him to, at least they can say yes or no. Do you want to wear this or this one? Is this a yes or no? And he can go no, or thumbs up yes. That's impressive to me. And it will increase over time if he continues to work. And it sounds like he will be encouraged because he is seeing improvement.
You are exactly right. And that builds momentum. So then they want to know, what else can I do then?
Yes.
And boy, that is just such a powerful thing to have happen, to watch people do that. And they will. They'll go on to the next step. What else do I want to try to achieve? Then they'll go to the next step. And for people that are in a higher class, more advanced, it might be, I'm a big proponent of something I call the reset. And for a lot of people, like you were describing, they're very anxious, nervous, worried, trying to get their words out. And some of them have developed, a lot of them have developed a habit of, I call it tap dancing, while they're trying to wait for their word or idea to come out. And I have found over time that really stops the connection between their mind and their muscles really cannot line up when they're tap dancing. They need all the bandwidth, right? All hands on deck to that one connection as they're trying to get the words out. So a lot of people in the more advanced classes, we help and practice and guide them to, what do you need to do when the word is stuck? What is your personal way to get calm, get positive, as you think you probably can do it if you try, and get the word out? Take that tiny little pause. And I have watched so many people go from, let's say, intermediate to
Mm.
quite advanced because they've learned to master that in themselves. Oh, the word is stuck. Here's how I'm going to handle it. Now,
The other approach that you do, because you put the social element in it where they're in a group, I can see people that are farther advanced will encourage how they've advanced and improved will encourage beginners. And beginners are looking at, I can do this if they can do it. And I just love that because it's peer pressure, but it's also in a comfortable, non-threatening setting. And I think that so many would benefit from that.
oh my goodness. I would really like to I'd like for you to be with me every day, please, because you really understand, Diane, the things that you are saying back to me. That is exactly what I see. And that becomes my goal. And what you describe, I love that peer pressure. I tell them, you rise together. And that
Yes.
happens. I'll see one or two of them in class start making huge strides.
Yes.
And then everybody else goes, I want to do that too. How do
Yeah.
I get up there? And then they pull one another along, and goosebumps on my legs thinking about it because
Yes.
it works. And because people know we want to hear, what do you have to say? This is what he said. What do you think? And people they know that people care about what they have to say and that they will support them in rising to their highest level. And they do. They cheerlead one another and they inspire continuously. They inspire one another. And
I
it's
can
a
see
beautiful
that
thing to see.
happening. Yeah, you are right. The lower ones, the lower few words people, I can see them wanting to be motivated for more and to improve. I just love that. And one of the things I want my listeners to know is I remind them this is an ongoing, lifelong project of work, whether it's physical therapy, speech therapy, or occupational therapy. When you've had a brain injury or have a neurological condition or have had a stroke, your baseline of how you function has changed, and you still have the ability to make improvements if you're willing to put the effort in. And that's really important.
Yes, I agree. And people, happiness, I do love Tony Robbins, I will say.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I heard Tony Robbins say, progress equals happiness. And
Yeah.
if people are making progress on their goals, they're better today than they were yesterday, they feel happier, and it affects everything. It affects your mood, your attitude, your mindset, and what you are capable of. It's really important.
How are caregivers or family members? What do they see when their loved ones participate in Beyond High C?
Oh my gosh. I will tell you that when I'm having a rough day,
Uh-huh.
I just think about the things that they say to me.
Uh-huh.
They are, oh gosh, I wish I had a couple of quotes for you. They say the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
They say that their loved ones have hope,
Yep.
that their loved ones are feeling so positive and
Yep.
so willing to try and so motivated
Yeah.
to take the next step and to engage. I'll tell you, I would say, whatever stage, whatever level, their loved ones are
Mhm.
engaging more with the family, engaging more in life, jumping into communication more on whatever level they're working on. And that's a big piece of feedback I get, usually with a lot of just kind words and it's so gratifying because they'll share with us very personal things about what they're struggling with, and they really feel like we care deeply about them and their family, and we do. And I think that serves the person who is participating in class and the family, the whole family too.
People that have communication problems, such as aphasia or other disorders, they really are invisible to their other families. You'll have a family member that'll say, this is what they're saying, and there's such frustration, and many just give up and just sit quietly or act out because they're frustrated that they're not included. I think what you're doing is just amazing work, and it's such a positive way to do it. For those listening, our caregivers, survivors, or clinicians, what message of hope or encouragement would you like to leave them about recovery and communication?
I know I've heard some clinicians that I respect a lot say there's no plateau. And
Yes.
I would just say that in my experience, I've been doing this nearly 10 years. I have watched people, even people who had a stroke 25 years ago,
Yes.
make progress today. So what I would love to leave people with the fact that progress is possible,
Yes.
and that real connection and real hope and real self-reliance on to some degree with someone's communication is a real possibility. And once that becomes a reality for their loved one, I just think it probably creates springboard into other things. There's so much hope, there's so much possibility, and there's so much potential in what that could bring to the quality.
And that's true of speech and physical therapy as well. And I want my listeners to know, if you have a family member, these are great. It's a good attitude to have that you can always improve.
Yes.
So how do they find you?
Good question. I've got a website. And I also have a YouTube channel. And the name of our program is Beyond High C. So our website is beyondhighc.com. And it's like the high note. So
Yes.
it's HIGH and a letter C, beyondhighc.com. And our YouTube channel is Beyond High C. So we have motivation and tips and exercises on YouTube, and on our website, beyondhighc.com, you could see the conversation class and then a supplemental thing that I have added by request. Those are the ways that we support people, and it's all personalized, it's live, and it's all online, everyone. So you can be anywhere. We have people across the US, we have people in Canada, we have people in the UK. I've had people in India and in China before in the middle of the night.
I would believe that. What I laugh is we all speak the same English, but the cadence is different. Like people from India say it different. They're faster. And I bet that's challenging in some ways, but I enjoy the diversity of language and the accents and stuff. For those listening, I want you to know contact information for Kiersten will be, and her Beyond High C program will be on our website and in the show notes. Now, to my family caregivers out there, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please learn to be gentle with yourself. Practice self-care every day because you are worth it.